Yeah, Rich, you're very correct. And when you look at Dallas, they are in such dysfunction. Since Tony Romo got hurt, 6 straight losses, and then you talk about the locker room aspects of this team. They just have not been able to control the asylum, let's just say. And Jerry Jones, let's face it, he has enabled Jason Garrett to not do anything because he's always had his back, and everyone knows Jerry Jones is the face of this team. I remember when they played the Eagles, I go into the locker room to talk to the team. Usually the coach talks, well, all the cameras are on the owner. He's right there front and center. So this is his mess, and Jason Garrett is his guy, so I don't know if he's going to do anything about him. But they got to fix this situation, whether it's a Hardy mess, whether it's Des Bryant. They have to control it, and let's face it, they used to be a flagship team in the National Football League, but right now they're looking like a big joke.
And listen, anyone who knows, like yourself and myself, who've been in the locker room before with interviews and covering games and teams, if a player gets that animated, you know what they can typically do? They can get up and just go right in the trainers. They can go right in the trainer's room because press is not allowed in the trainer's room. That is a fact. So, again, that could have been squashed really fast. Let's get to last night's game. Sexy Rexy goes back to New York, Jets and the Bills. Do you have any issues with the play calling and the decision to not kick the field goal late by Todd Bowles?
No, not at all. And everybody was getting on Dan Quinn with the Atlanta Falcons. He kicks the field goal, and then they can't get the ball back. So why not go for it? Todd Bowles thought that Fitzpatrick was playing a good enough game, even though he's injured, to make that throw. Let's face it, the backup tight end was just not ready to catch it. I heard he had lost it in the lights or something like that. But you have to go for it when you have the opportunity. It was a low-scoring game, a defensive battle. And I thought overall it was a very good game. Of course, Rex Ryan very happy that his team gets to win. But the Bills were very conservative, but they ran the ball with such authority.
And that's one of the reasons I think you take the points. Because if you give the ball back, maybe it's a situation where Bowles thinks, well, Shady McCoy's having a big game running the football. I don't believe in leaving points. And the same thing with chasing points with 2-point conversions. I mean, if that game last night was more of an indictment on the Jets than Buffalo winning the game, because that's a game the Jets have to win if they actually want to be relevant in the AFC and contend for a wild card.
Definitely, and now you look at the Bills; they own the 5th spot. They have the tiebreaker over the Jets, and it's going to be a close battle going for those last wild card spots. Let's face it, the division's long gone with the Patriots dominating, but that was a game they needed to have. It's a home game. And the Bills, let's take our hat off to them as well. They were very physical, as I was saying. Their offensive line was dictating the game. And then the defense, led by Rambo, had some very timely turnovers.
I'm going to give the Giants a slinger's chance against the Patriots offensively. I don't see, even if JPP plays as many snaps as he did against Tampa Bay, where they're going to be able to get to Brady. I actually think Brady's going to get his, and Eli's probably going to get his, and it's going to be back and forth. The problem I have in this game is that the Giants have to put themselves in position with the talent they have to execute when they have an opportunity. And basically what I mean is you can't have guys – you can't let Rob Gronkowski get a free release off the line. You have to chuck him. You have to watch out for wheel routes. You can't let him go down the seam. You already know Brady's going to get rid of the football, so it's not like you really have to try to get to him, but it's that secondary that would scare the heck out of you if you're a Giants fan, and I just don't see them making a play late.
Yeah, it is a tough battle for them, and you know, you and I have talked so many times over the years leading to those Super Bowls where the two of these teams played each other, and they have to get pressure on Brady. They got to find natural pressure. I know Steve Spagnuolo was the architect of the 2007 team that beat them, but they got to find a way. And when you look at that defense, as you're saying with the Giants, they've just been allowing too many yards through the air. So it's a very scary situation when you're talking about going against Brady, Gronkowski, Edelman. They're playing at such a high note. It's going to be tough to stop them. But I think if the Giants can control the football and not turn it over, they can stay in this game.
Yeah, I agree. They just have foolish penalties and just bad turnovers, especially like we saw just some of the breakdowns, especially against the Saints, and then those early turnovers against Tampa Bay. The Eagles take on the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins coming into their third straight road contest. I guess everyone's kind of backing off a little bit on this Dan Campbell, the next great head coach in the NFL. There were two nice wins, and then you see they come back with two bad losses against the Patriots and the Bills, respectively. Is Ryan Tannehill's arm going to have to keep them in the game here on Sunday?
He is, and he's going to have to make plays outside of the pocket as well. You know, the Eagles are going to come after him with guys like Fletcher Cox, Connor Barwin. they're going to try to get around the edge and attack him. And let's face it, Lamar Miller, okay running back, he's not going to scare anybody with the Eagles. So if the Tannehill's going to be on his shoulders, make throws to guys like Landry and some of those other guys getting the football down the field. I know Miami has lost their emotional leader in Cameron Wake, so they just have not seemed like the same team since he got hurt his Achilles. The Eagles on this side of the ball, they have to win this game. This is a must-win situation for them. The Giants are still above them in the standings, and let's face it, it's a home game. They have 3 straight home games, and they have to come out ahead on a couple of these.
Couple minutes with Lloyd Vance, contributing writer for the NFL Network. Does a great job covering the league. Rich Quinones here. We'll take you up to 2 o'clock on a Football Friday on 97.3 ESPN FM. Seattle and Arizona. The last time we saw Arizona go in Seattle, they bullied the Seahawks. Carson Palmer, not intimidated, quietly having a great year. You look at Fitzgerald, looks reborn. I just don't think Seattle has that home dominance that they've had over the years. And quite frankly, even though they lost the Super Bowl, this is a major hangover with Seattle. And it really started when Russell Wilson got that contract and all the defensive players started yapping, and then you didn't see the Cam Chancellor situation kind of took a life of its own. But this team, there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something really wrong with this team. I'm not even talking about Jimmy Graham leaving offensively. I just look at this team as a whole, and I say to myself, there's something really just off with this team.
Right, and that's what we talk about when a team not only wins a Super Bowl, but then they go back and lose it. There's always that what is in it for me. You can see guys leave via free agency. You see the injuries, and then you see kind of some of this animosity. And let's face it, Russell Wilson has been under attack. He's sacked over 30 times this season to lead the NFL, and he's kind of running for his life. That offensive line, a work in progress, and you have a receiver core that's just nondescript. They don't have anybody that can step up and make a play. Marshawn Lynch very beat up at this stage of his career. So it's going to be on his defense to keep this game low scoring, to keep guys like John Brown under control, Larry Fitzgerald. And, it's a tough task because, let's face it, Arians has built a tough disciplinary team out there. These guys are coming after you. They're physical. And the Cardinals are not intimidated, as you say, coming into Seattle. That 12th man just isn't what they seem to be in the past.
I'm probably going to get mocked here on Twitter and text board, but that's okay. I think the Green Bay Packers, they should not take the Lions lightly. And I understand the Lions have not won in Green Bay since forever. I think they've lost 20-something in a row at Green Bay. But I'm looking at this Packers team. I'm looking at a little dissension, a little nonsense on the sideline. Aaron Rodgers having a couple bad games. I didn't like the fact that Carolina let them back in the game the other day. I think that was more on Carolina than Green Bay. But Detroit still has, even though he's nicked up Calvin Johnson, they still have Stafford. I don't think this is a blowout, but I think this is a game where if Monday we turn around and say, can you believe the Detroit Lions? I think it's more of an indictment on Green Bay and things starting to fall apart with the Packers than it is on the Lions.
Yeah, this is a tough game for them. And, anytime you're playing a division rival, you cannot take it lightly. The Lions are coming in with a big chip on their shoulder. Everybody's playing for their job. I was just talking to a reporter out there. Those guys know that Miss Ford that's running the team now, she's not her father, and she wants to see everybody step up, and she wants to see these guys earn their job. So, even they're talking about getting rid of Megatron maybe this offseason. So they're playing for their jobs, and they're going to come in there desperate. And as you're saying with the Packers, they just have not looked great. Aaron Rodgers throwing for 77 yards a couple games ago. We just have not seen that from them. So this is an opportunity for them to step up and take control of this division, because let's not forget the Vikings are still out there, and they're tied with them right now.
And we mentioned Calvin Johnson still a little nicked up. He's probable right now. He did sit out. Open portion of today's practice. I got about a minute to go. Before I let you get out of here, Malcolm Jenkins coming out saying that he did have a concussion, and then you look at Teddy Bridgewater and that vicious hit that he took against the Rams, and it looks like he's going to play. I thought no matter what, it was lights out for him. He should at least miss a week. I guess my question is, when stuff like this happens, and especially with Jenkins coming out now saying what he said, is this going to put teams under the microscope more when there is an injury and the cameras pan over to the sideline to make sure that they are doing all they should be doing as far as concussion protocol? Because, again, Jenkins never said anything, so they really couldn't give him the proper concussion protocol.
Yeah, and it's also on the NFL personnel that's in the booth that's supposed to be monitoring us now, because let's face it, concussion is such a hot-button issue around the National Football League. I heard you talk about the upcoming movie. This is something that they want to guard against. Let's face it, former players suing them over concussions. They got to monitor, keep an eye on. You can't put the onus on a player, as Chip Kelly did with Malcolm Jenkins. Somebody's got to tell him, hey, you got to sit down at the next play, sit out the game, and worry about your health.
Great point. All right, my friend, enjoy the slate of action on Sunday. We'll talk to you next week. Appreciate it as always, pal.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, you got it. Good stuff from Lloyd Vance, contributing writer and reporter on NFL Network. Does a good job. Definitely a good follow on Twitter. 144. We'll take a quick time out. We'll give some more thought on the Birds in Miami and a couple other sleeper games over the weekend.